How you doing, everyone? Welcome back. This is part 6 of 10 in this series. We are going through the Bill of Rights and explaining what they are and how the Trump regime is violating or can or will violate them in the future. Now, we've already explained how they are violating the First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments, and how they could violate the Second and Third Amendments. So, let's get into the Sixth Amendment, shall we? How is it being, well, first of all, what does it say? And then we'll get into how it's being violated. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. What does that mean? Let's break it down. All criminal prosecutions. You're accused, right? The accused, you, shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial, right? Now, that doesn't mean that, hey, you know what, 10 minutes, trial's over. No. It means we're going to bring it to trial quickly. All right? And we're going to get this done as fast as we can. And we're going to do it in public instead of behind closed doors. And the reason for that is everybody can see it, right? And why should we want everybody to see it? Because if everybody can see it, there's no wiggle room for, if they outright deny your rights, everybody can see that they did that. And if you accuse them of denying your rights when they didn't, everybody can see that as well, right? So it protects the accused and it protects the government. Okay? More so it protects the accused, but it protects both. Right? Speedy and public trial by an impartial jury. Okay, this means people who have not made up their minds on the facts. Right? It doesn't necessarily mean somebody who doesn't know anything about the case. It doesn't necessarily mean somebody who doesn't know you. Right? I believe that I could be impartial if I know the defendant. I believe that I could convict or acquit based on the evidence and not my relationship with that person. Now, because of that, however, there is the perception that I cannot be impartial. Therefore, I would not be a juror. And I think that's right. That shouldn't be the case. I should not be a juror in that situation. But that jury needs to be impartial. They cannot have already made up their mind. For example, you. I don't know you, right? We've never met. I don't know about this particular case. I have no idea whether you killed that person or not, whether you stole that car or not, right? I have no idea if you did it or not. And I don't know you. I could sit on that jury, listen to the evidence, and make a fair decision. If I do know you, one way or the other, that right there would remove me from being impartial. Like I said, I could be impartial, but it's best that I'm not on that jury because it gives the appearance that I am, in fact, biased. if I saw you commit the crime, I'm not going to be on that jury. Or if I've read enough in the news that, yeah, he did it, I'm not going to be on that jury. Right? And it should be that way. It absolutely needs to be that way. Okay? So, so you need to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation. So that means that the government needs to tell you, hey, this is what you're accused of. And this is why you're being accused. Right? So, if you intentionally threw that baseball through your neighbor's window, right? It could just be somebody who kind of looks like you, right? Or maybe you've been beefing with your neighbor and nobody saw who did it. So they just assume that it was you, because you play baseball, right? Therefore, it's likely that you have a baseball. Right? So they have to inform you of what you're being accused of. You have to be told. You also have the right to confront the witnesses against you, right? So if I accuse you, that means I have to be there. And I have to say, hey, look, this is why I think he did it. Right? So I have to stand there before you and say, yeah, he did it, and here's why I say that. Conversely, right, you need to have a process in order to gather witnesses on your behalf. For example, I say you threw that baseball through that window. Somebody on your baseball team says, no, we had an away game that day. We had an away game that day, and he was at the exact moment that he was being accused. He was standing on third base while this other guy on the team was striking out. Right? So you've got witnesses in your favor as well as those against you, right? And to have the assistance of counsel, that means you have the right to an attorney. You absolutely have that right. So you have an attorney, you have witnesses against you that you get to confront, witnesses for you that you get to present on your behalf. You have to be informed of the accusations against you, and it's a public trial, public and speedy trial. Now, how is this being violated right now? Look at all those guys in El Salvador. How many of them got any kind of a trial at all? They got no kind of a trial at all. How many of them were informed of the charges against them? They weren't. How many of them were able to confront witnesses against them? They weren't. How many of them had the opportunity to get witnesses on their behalf? Nope, that didn't happen either. No witnesses one way or the other. And how many of them were afforded the opportunity to have a lawyer? None of them. So again, rights are being violated. We have now found violations of the First, Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendments, right? We have found the violations of 4 out of the first 6. We found ways that the other 2 can and probably will be violated in the future. Know your rights, because if you know your rights, you know everybody else's rights. And if you know everybody else's rights, then we are all standing together. And we are standing against tyranny. And if we can stand up and prevent this from taking place, we'll all be better off for it. So again, know your rights. Stand up for one another. I'll catch you next time.